and welcome to everybody. Today we are going to be doing the final show studio panel for London Fashion Week, so we're going to do a bit of a roundup while lovely Lou has gone off to Milan. And I am joined today by the wonderful Judy Blame, Andrew Quaintrell and fabulous Hilary Alexander, and we're going to talk to you about what's going on at London Fashion Week and watch Simone Rocha's show when it comes on. Hilary, are you excited about this show?
Yes, I am, because we all know she's the daughter of John Rocha. What's interesting is the way she sort of developed her own signature. And she's quite independent. She's got a different PR company to her dad.
Well, I don't think she wants that to define her, does she?
No.
Judy, have you seen her collections before?
I've never seen a show. I've seen it on the rail at the pier, and I've seen it in a shop.
And what do you think of what she's doing?
I thought it was great, and I've known her father's collections from time, and I think it's fantastic the way she has developed her own
look.
She's kept the name, but hasn't kept the same thing as John. So
and Angela,
I was always really impressed with what I saw.
I mentored Simone at the very beginning.
You mentored her?
Yeah, through the Centre of Fashion Enterprise. And she's a great girl, and she always wanted to stand on her own 2 feet. And although her mother does help her a lot with her business, when I was mentoring her, we wrote down this list of the shops that she really, really wanted to be in. Like, these are my wish list. And she emailed me yesterday and said, I can't believe all that time ago when we did the wish list, now I'm in all of those stores. And then I was in Paris, must have been last year, and past Colette, and there's Simone Rocha's shoes in the window with her name. So I took a picture, sent it to her, and she's very unassuming, and she's very talented, and I think she has a really lovely aesthetic. And when I worked with her, she'd come from France, where she'd been on holiday. She'd gone to the markets, and she had all these bits of lace and bits of chiffon that were all her inspiration. She works a lot from inspiration. Her studio is like books and pictures, and it's all very kind of in her head.
Studio? Is she in London? Or?
She's in Dalston.
Oh right, okay, brilliant.
Yeah, she's in Dalston. She's got a nice studio. She said when I used to be there were no chairs there, but now there are. So that was lovely.
And of the shows at London Fashion Week that we've seen this week, Hilary, are there any new designers that you've been particularly impressed by?
Well, I love Theodore Golan.
Oh, brilliant.
Because I've sort of watched them since Fashion Fringe.
Yeah.
Very, very theatrical.
Yeah.
And exotic, beyond measure.
Yeah.
But the craft work and the detailing, the embroidery is really superb, beautifully done.
Yeah.
And strange kind of mixture of Aztec and Mayan influences mixed with the story of a Victorian teenager who got kidnapped by Cherokee Indians and turned into a sort of chieftainess or warrior's maiden, and then went back to Victoria.
Why weren't you in that show?
Right up my street.
Sensational.
Yeah, I mentor them as well. And
who do you mentor?
Everybody.
A little bit of a monopoly.
and I've seen their inspiration is exactly what you were saying. On the wall is all of this, and there's a beautiful Indonesian print in like blues, which is fantastic. And they're a lovely couple. And I went backstage at the end, and Theodore was like in tears. He was absolutely overcome with emotion. And I think it was a beautiful collection. And there was very commercial pieces there as well.
They always have the most amazing sort of face jewellery. This time it was like nose visors, and then little blue tattoos just painted on the chin.
Yeah, and the hats.
Yes,
fabulous.
the hats.
So Angela, tell Judy a bit about what you do. I mean, say for Simone, when you say you mentor her, how do you help her?
I start because Centre of Fashion Enterprise, it's on 2 levels. It's on the Pioneer and the Venture, and she was on the Pioneer. And we start with the inspiration, then we do range planning, fabric sourcing. Some of them want me to help, some do it themselves. And then planning how we're going to target the stores, which stores we're going to target, how we're going to do that, what imagery we're going to use. If I feel they're right for it, I will introduce them to some of the buyers that I know, or get them. I did a thing with Tatum Jones 2 weeks ago. Harvey Nichols came into my showroom and Tatum set up there and showed them, so they do that. And then the worst bit is I'm costing queen, so I do all the costings for everybody. That's the hardest bit, because they don't want to do that, and most of them don't know how to do it anyway.
Do you find it rewarding helping people people?
Oh, I love it. It's my favourite thing. Although I have sleepless nights some nights when they haven't got any money, but I love it. I completely love it.
It's great. I mean, it's a great, it'd be brilliant if it had been. I mean, if you could look back at any of the people showing in London, who do you think has got whose business do you really admire, or who do you think
we had Mary Catranzu, who it's it's an amazing story now. I remember Wendy Mail and the head coming to me in Paris and saying, we've got to help this girl Angela. She's got orders and she doesn't know what to do them with. And now she's got like 20 staff and a huge business. We also have Peter Pilotto, who's a star now as well.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, Needham Kirchhoff. So we've had some really good guys through our hands, and it is a really good thing we do, because when they get on to the next level, they get a free studio space and they get some money, they get part of their PR paid for. So it's really, we really help them.
And Hilary, look, I mean, you have been to a lot of London shows. Why do you think everybody always looks to London for the new talent and for the new designers? Why do you think when people do sort of synopsises of each city, there tends to be sort of different tag stories that most people go for, and in London it always is about the new generation. Why do you think that is? Why are people drawn here?
I think it's the environment that the designers kind of grow up in, if you like, and also the educational system, the fashion education system, and colleges like Central St Martin's, Kingston, Ravensbourne, London College of Fashion, Royal College of Art, and others positively encourage a sort of slightly anarchic, free-spirited expression, and they're not kind of hidebound. Whereas you do feel sometimes that designers who are perhaps emerging in Milan or New York or even Paris to a certain degree sort of are constrained slightly by commercial realities. Whereas here it's sort of like, let's go. And then later on the commercial realities obviously come in, but the shows that still have that raw vigour.
You can feel it, can't
yes.
you? You can feel the
electricity. Real energy.
Well, there is a kind of freedom here.
When you started, did you think about business plans?
Well, I never went to college even. I was just really good at showing off, and it was a really fertile time in the early 80s in London. I mean, it was great. Stephen Jones, Body Map, I mean, you can name them. And everyone was really supportive, and we did all go out to nightclubs and show off and share ideas, and it was such a great time for me and for most of the other people. And you wouldn't have been able to do that in Paris.
No.
I remember once Martin Margiela came to London, and he said, well, in Paris it's more likely that you work for another house for 10 years before they even let you dare put your name on anything.
I think there's a certain sort of exhibitionist streak, from the era of the
London
80s.
is shameless.
Totally, And that
not everyone succeeds, and we need people like Angela, obviously, to help the ones that
or rein it in occasionally.
But there's something about that kind of, let's do it anyway.
Let's go for it. I mean, we saw that with the Philip Tracy show. Completely sort of outrageous, models flown in from New York, all black models, Michael Jackson's jackets, pumping Michael Jackson music.
Lady Gaga, let's throw
Lady
Gaga
why
in as
not?
well.
And then let's have a gospel choir, why don't we,
I thought that show, the sort of like the whole atmosphere and vibe getting into that was very evocative of the old McQueen shows, sort of like the days when it was really chaotic to get into shows. Because now I think obviously having the internet and live streams, it's brilliant, but I remember when I first started going to shows, you had to fight to get into a show, because if you didn't see it, you missed out, and there was more of a sense of drama. I remember you not getting into shows, nearly murdering people.
I always remember you bopping I remember you bopping all the shows.
Oh yes, I still do.
Hilary was always
if the music's great, I always dance.
I mean, but also, I remember, Angela, going to Liberty when you were there, seeing the beautiful, do you remember Pierce Fionda's beautiful show there?
Yeah.
And I wonder, how much does the internet and all of this help designers today? How different do you think Pierce Fionda's story or someone like that would have been if all this had been around to stream today and support them?
I mean, I think the problem with Pierce Fionder is that they went to Debenhams. That to me was their downfall, because they were very, very talented boys. But customers were saying, well, you know, why should I buy this jacket here for £400 if I can buy similar? Or it's obviously not the same, but to them it's the look for £100.
I mean, I do think that they were quite savvy going to. What do you think? I mean,
well, I think the Debenhams thing didn't seem to hurt Jasper Conrad at all.
No.
You know,
I suppose it's
funded an amazing lifestyle with a couple of estate leagues.
I suppose it depends which way it goes.
No, I didn't mean it in a bad way, but you know, maybe they just sort of got tired of living hand to mouth, or you know, the sort of like impoverished artist lifestyle.
Yeah. But they were so talented, and they used to. Before they started, they used to be walking around the department in Liberty. I used to see them. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We're going to be designers one day, and we're going to be in here." And that's what they were like. It was just like, "We're going to make it." And that's what so many. Lee McQueen was saying. He used to come round and with his mother, and he used to say, "Oh, Angela's like my second mother, and we sell in here." And it was different then, wasn't it? It was different.
Yes.
But there is now again. I feel there's a whole surge in London that's really, you know, coming up again, and it's very exciting, and they're selling as well. That's the good thing, is that they're, you know, all the young ones we've got, they're all selling quite well, which is what's important, and getting paid, which is very important.
And I think also what's helping is having, you know, the Prime Minister's wife,
yes,
Sam
of course,
Cann,
she's
wearing,
fantastic.
you know, the pieces. I mean, she was wearing Christopher Kane last night at the Smythson reception to open the new flagship. She was wearing Michael Vanderham when she went to Christopher Kane and Erdem. You know, to have somebody like that who's in such a high-profile public position wearing young designers.
Yes, and she looks beautiful.
She does.
She looks lovely.
Yeah. And how, Hilary, has all of this changed how you cover and go to shows? Does it make you still want to sort of like hurtle around on the beat, or
Oh yes. I mean, I much prefer to be sitting, you know, at the show, because I like the atmosphere, the tension. I love seeing all the photographers jostling. I mean, I like to see if a celebrity's arriving, see if I can get a sideways picture on my BlackBerry.
And she will, because Hilary will beetle forward, and
then the lights go down, and you know, it's theatre.
Hilary is fearless in the front row.
You can't really beat a fashion show. I don't care how many machines they put in front of me, but to have fabric and we were talking about this last night with Amanda. You can't.
No.
And the clothes and the shoes, and you could see the embroideries, the jewellery, the hair, the makeup, the music.
Well, it's every sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your first show? I'm not going to ask your favourite show.
What, the first show I ever went to?
Yeah. What can you remember your first show, or?
No, I can't. I can remember my first McQueen show. I can remember my first Issey Miyake show.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I can.
What?
I think it was Kenzo, when Kenzo Takada was designing.
Wow.
And Pat Cleveland came in on a white horse.
I was at that.
So was
and
I.
She went round
yes,
and
and
round
then she went round and round and round in the sort of flamenco all the way down the catwalk, and then later on she came on a white horse.
And did it all the way back.
Yeah.
Oh my
Struck a
yes.
buzz.
Yeah.
I was at that show. That was my first Paris show.
Me too.
my
Sensational.
goodness. And what do you think of, you know, do you prefer shows that are just on the runway, you know, where it's quite a, this looks like it's quite a sort of like a straight, flat runway. I mean, what about very theatrical sets? Do they enhance the show or take away? You know, because...
Oh, it depends who it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And depends on the
I
clothes.
mean, some of John Galliano's, I mean,
yes,
with
the
Michael
circus
sets.
one, and they were amazing ones.
Beyond.
Yeah, Beyond.
Yeah.
That house, do you remember that house?
was really ruling on that as well, because
Yeah.
you knew every time you went, it was something different, or everything was thought about.
Remember Atlantis? The final show.
We're getting lights down. I just got shouted at. So I am...
We are allowed to talk.
Yeah, no. We are allowed to talk, but I just wanted to let you know because I wanted you to be ready for the show to start, because, you know, Hilary would usually be, here we go.
First
now,
outfit.
We don't have any music. I'm going to make it big so you can
Which
see
is
it.
a shame.
White.
Don't push me.
I love that.
It's very fresh.
Yes, very fresh, very pretty.
What do you think of the silhouette here?
I like the shoulder line and everything. I think it's very nice.
Yeah. Oh, I like the backless cutout. And I love the little pantaloons.
Underneath, me too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Simone is a very hot ticket nowadays.
Yes.
She's got a really good turnout.
Hooray for some of these
Yes.
new black girls coming
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
as well. Hip, hip, hooray.
It looks like a pretty little dress as well, lovely with that
I
cutaway
love
shoulder,
the
yeah.
cutaway
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah.
And the sheer sleeves, beautiful.
And look at the collar.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's like those in Downton Abbey, you know, the
Yeah.
collars the
Yeah.
aristocratic men wear.
And a pretty shaped
Perfectly
skirt.
starched by Carson or one of the under housemaids. Or,
It's perfectly starched, but it's quite young as well, and you know. Now the styling is by, let's see.
That's lovely. I love that.
Do you like the
I love
sort
that
of
jacket
like the
and the
soft
yes.
pleated palette? And
Is that leather or is it
it
Looks like that.
No, it looks like it's
like a cotton satin?
yeah,
sort of?
it's a cotton satin. It's
Yeah.
got some kind of waxing over the top
Oh,
of it.
that's
or
pretty.
something.
and what, is that embroidery there or what? Oh no, it's an
Yeah.
actual
It
see-through
looks like
panel.
Yeah.
it looks like it could be a silk boucle with inset lace.
This is, I think, where, you know, I said when she goes to the market in France
Yeah.
and picks up all these pieces of old lace, that's the kind of inspiration I
Yeah.
think that comes back. That's
I like the two collars together, you know, the big wide collar on the vest or
Yeah.
the jacket and then the little collar.
and that's a nice
On
On the
texture.
headband.
That's sweet.
Little halo.
That's nice texture on the fabric.
It's a bit Tudor, that headband, isn't it?
Yeah, I just said it was a bit like Anne Boleyn.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely.
Now, Hills, when you're writing frantic notes, what do you sort of like scribble down when you see a show like this?
Well, I'd probably do a quick sketch. Shift, lace cut out, Anne Boleyn headband,
Yeah. And
white.
Angela, what would you be picking out as a buyer here?
I'd be picking out the stories that I wanted to buy into. So like that first embroidery anglais story and then maybe the lace, and work it back like that into the colour blocks and how we'd want it to hang in the store.
So you go with set stories already in mind for
We
each season?
usually do. We used to do that, go with a set story. We were briefed by with the press people and everything, and look out for certain things that we were
Yeah.
going to really major on.
Yeah. And what about you? What do you think of the collection as it's unfolding?
The thing I like about it is hanging in. When I saw it hanging in a store, it was when she did those things that were practically see-through.
Yes, yes,
But they just drew you
yes.
to them.
She's very clever
And
at
it
that.
actually had real hanger appeal, and the person I was with were going, "Oh, you can't really wear that," and I was going, "Well, you can."
Yes, yes, and
Is
people
that
do.
plastic?
It's
But
a
it
great,
kind of drew me.
it's
I
a
love the
very
way
sheer-
she
it looks like
layered.
very sheer
Yes.
lemon perspex over
Yeah,
a cotton shift.
beautiful.
This looks lovely, doesn't
Sorry
it?
to
This
talk over
one.
you.
I like the way she
She makes
kind of
her fabrics and
marries,
mixes them in a really interesting way.
That's so lovely, isn't it?
but there's a marriage sort of between sort of craft work or craft
Yeah.
techniques and quite futuristic high-tech fabrics as well.
Yes.
And they blend beautifully, look at that.
The gold, yeah.
I mean,
Beautiful.
she's very, very skilled with her textiles, and they're nice, soft silhouettes because they're very, although they're quite high-tech fabrics, they're very soft,
Thank
flexible
you.
Yeah.
shapes for women.
Really nice.
That's lovely
Yeah.
and easy to wear. I think she's very considered. I think she thinks everything through. It's not just made up and put on there. It's actually, is it going to work?
I
What
can
could you
see-
put with it?
I can see Alexa Chung in some of these clothes.
Yeah.
And her shoes are great. We haven't really looked at the shoes, have we? Because she does her
No,
own
no.
shoes.
Well, it's not really panning down. I think
There
because
we-
it's a large
it's in there.
when we get our clothes shots afterwards, we can look at that. I mean, she delivers the whole package though, because
Yeah.
she has the shoes, she
Yeah.
has the. I mean, overall, this seems to be a very strong and worth
Yeah,
going behind.
there's nothing that I haven't liked. I think it all looks really lovely. This is pretty. And lovely for like weddings, which is hard to find
Yeah.
clothes for that are not
Yes.
sort of mumsy. It's young looking and contemporary.
Well, I remember sitting with near you. I was sat with Mrs. B at her graduate show for the EMA, and Mrs. B went straight backstage and thought it was,
Yeah.
fabulous. And
Yeah.
I think it's really great that she's being her own person, and she's not letting people sort of like lump together with her father, which
No.
is great.
Yes,
But
she could have sat back and done
she
that.
could have sat back and taken the easy option, and I really think extra respect to her that well, she is her own person.
Yeah, I think she's
Still
very,
think
very aware.
She's learned a lot from John. though.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course.
Some of the hints of the
Yeah.
fabrics, like
Exactly.
especially the more earthy kind of
And the crochet
colour,
and the
some of
crochet
the colour.
work too that she's using on the headband.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, she describes it as a quiet subversion, layering. I mean, there are lots of great wearable separates, and
This is
I mean,
nice.
I think she would do well in Paris Hills. I think.
In what?
I think she would sit very well alongside in Paris, don't you?
Oh yes,
Well, as a show. Or,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, she shows with the British fashion cards, you know, when they do the
Yeah.
London showrooms.
Yeah.
And it looks very, very strong when it's hanging on the rail.
This is gorgeous, this shaped coat, look. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
love
It's kind of got a
Lovely.
50s feel, but it's
Yeah.
really modern at
Yeah.
the same time, isn't it?
It's got a
Yeah.
lovely clean line, hasn't it? Why do you think these silhouettes seem so modern at the moment? Why do you think these?
Because I think they're quite clean, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not too fussy
You're
and frilly and
comfortable,
girly.
probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's feminine, but it's not
Oh, look-
girly. Oh, look at that! Wow.
I love that little sort of lunchbox
Yeah.
It's a
handbag
little
or
shopper,
tote.
yeah.
That's
this
really
is
fun, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's fun.
I mean, Alsman yesterday did quite big, bright colours, and Burberry went much brighter.
yes.
than
Yeah, it's
usual.
definitely neon. What Hilary said earlier, it's definitely neon, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this kind of lemon and yellow
Yeah.
Yeah.
and lime greens and grass
But
greens.
they're nice
Yes.
greens. They're wearable greens, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Picked it up in the sole of the
Yeah.
shoe.
Yes.
What fun is that?
They look great shoes.
Yeah, she
actually,
does
don't
do
they?
great shoes.
I think that's also what contributes to the modernity, because if the models were wearing these silhouettes with sort of spike-heeled
It
platforms,
would look different. Yes.
it would be
Yes.
completely
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this kind of brogue on an elevated
lovely.
perspex sole looks
Clog.
sensational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost a modernised
Headband's
DM.
nice as well.
Yeah, the
where
headbands
it's
are nice.
above the head.
Like a halo.
Yeah.
Again, this shape is
Yes.
really great.
So she's repeated like the shapes strongly in different fabrics, which is a nice option, and it makes it good for buyers to be able to work into
Well, I
those
think it's
shapes.
quite- we were saying this the other day with Christopher Kane. It's quite clever to sort of like punch home your
Yeah.
key silhouette and
Yeah.
message of the season.
This is another colour we've seen a lot
Yeah.
of. Was it Christopher Kane? It was at Erdem.
Oh right.
Hints of it at Burberry.
And how was the Erdem show yesterday? Did you enjoy that one? Did you go to that one?
Yes, I did. I went to it. Kind of interesting mixes of snakeskin and lace.
Yeah.
And just wonderfully grown up,
Yeah. Oh, that was
feminine,
her
womanly
closing
silhouettes.
look. I like the sheer back of that one. Okay, so what happens now? I think we go to small, and then I think if we go here, they're going to give us a few photos in a minute. I have to click refresh there, because what we've got here is we've got a whole pull-in of all of the backstage shots and people's tweets. And oh, look here, you can see
The shoes.
Here you can see the shoes.
Really nice.
So Hilary, do you think this will get a glowing review?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. But then I don't want it to, in a way, I don't want it to get too much of a glowing review, because I think she's still taking, in a sense, small steps.
Yes.
As a journalist, do you feel a sense of responsibility when you sort of like explode someone with a? I mean, you know, when you give someone a glowing review, how do you feel that you shouldn't beak them up too quickly, or how do you
I
do you
do.
temper it? How do you temper your enthusiasm between encouraging and feeding them to the wolves?
I try not to feed them to wolves. I mean, if
Well, I know
if
that,
I
but-
really don't like a show, I just simply don't write about it. I think it's kinder.
Yeah.
I don't like crucifying people,
Yeah.
and you know, I must admit I did, you know, once, you know, go absolutely bonkers about Puff Daddy's first menswear collection, because that was
In a good way or a bad?
a good way, because it
Oh,
was
right.
amazing. You know, it was something for women to look at, you know, gorgeous hunks. I mean, mink jeans, and then sort of $25 million worth of Harry Winston hanging on their toned chests.
I'm with
Could
you
we see
there.
that? Yeah, can we see that now? I think the thing is with what Hilary's saying is because if they grow too fast, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
not so much for Simone, but the young ones, if they grow fast and get huge orders, they don't
can't
have the money.
cope.
No,
Yeah.
they don't have the money to make it and deliver it. And it can send them under. So they have to, exactly what Hilary said, they have to take small steps and grow slowly and go up that critical path carefully, plotting
Yes.
But
And
tell
Jonathan
me one
Saunders.
thing,
Yeah.
Angela. Some of the retail has actually changed to suit that. You know, there are stores now over the last, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 10 or 15 years, like Dover Street
that will buy smaller.
Corsica and Sarah Colette. And, you know,
That will buy
where
smaller,
the,
yes.
really intelligent people run the stores, and they know, they pick up on what's going on, and they do let them a bit more. It's not, it doesn't have to be on a high street or in a huge store,
way.
massive rail.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something really to be encouraged. It helps the designers develop
I think the other thing
their identity.
It does.
Sorry, Jude. I think the other thing that's changed sort of from perhaps a journalistic or reporting point of view is probably even up to, say, 6-8 years ago, a lot of stories were, who's the next John Galliano? Who's the next Alexander McQueen? You don't hear that anymore.
No.
Because the new ones that are coming through have such a personality that they kind of stand on their own. And I think that's really, really very important.
It is. That's true.
And who would you say are the key buyers? I mean, what are the sort of like the key places where would Simone, want to be?
Well, I know that she wanted to be, the places she wanted to be was like Leclerc in France, she wanted to be in Barnes in New York, she wanted to be in Harvey Nichols, which I think she probably should be.
And do designers still like being in a store as much as online? I mean, how has that changed things?
Oh, I mean, obviously if it's Net-a-Porter, then it's very important for them. But apart from that, I think they like to be in a store as well. I think, and they get very good feedback from that. And it's especially in the UK, if it's there, then they can, they can actually build that relationship, and that's what I try to build with them, so they get that feedback from the staff, and that we can go in and talk to the staff and point out the different, with Theodore Golan we did that with Harvey Nicks, and it really helps it, so that staff understand and know a little bit about the background, so they can talk about the designers. So I think it's really good for them to have that and not just be isolated from everything and just designing and making a collection and not understanding that it has to go out in a carrier bag at the end of the day.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, I think that's one of the things with sometimes with designers, they get put on this pedestal and they get removed too much from reality, and then it's difficult, and they could possibly topple.
In a cocoon almost.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what, Hilary, has stood out for you for London Fashion Week? What have been the highlights this season for you?
Well, the print wizards continue to dazzle me. I loved Mary Katranzu. I loved a lot of what Peter Pilotto did, Jonathan Saunders, and newcomers like J.W. Anderson, who, it's just as well I'm probably not writing for the Telegraph at the moment, because I think I would be tempted to rave about him. I do think he's incredibly talented.
And how do you think doing his collaboration with Topshop has that helped give him a broader appeal? Or?
I think it's given him sort of a glimpse of kind of commercial realities and sizing, and probably a relationship with customers, trying things on, saying, oh no, that doesn't fit, or oh, I love this, or why aren't the sleeves longer? And also, some money to help them keep going.
And what for you has stood out? I mean, what have you been doing this fashion week?
I haven't been to loads. Of course, I went to Phillips, which is fantastic.
From your friends and your people that you've been talking to, I mean, what do you sort of see as the buzz? Do you think London's still got a buzz about it, or? I
think we'll always have one, whether it's big or small.
A mosquito or a wasp.
There'll always be something in London, even if people don't come here. There'll always be some mad warehouse somewhere with
I mean, I was randomly flicking the telly this morning, and Anna Wintour said that London is her must-see city now. And Anna Wintour was, I think she was at the Burberry show, and she was saying how important it is. And I think that Burberry coming onto the schedule, don't you think that sort of, it was very a helpful sort of hook to draw in the big editors, because it's such an important advertiser and such an important show. I mean, Angela, what do you think? Because there's such a youthfulness to London where...
Yes, I think there's, and a lot of the young designers were showing this time, the new ones, and they got great response. I met Mark Holgate at Marcus Almeida, and he was saying, because he was my Saturday boy, So he was saying how he loved that collection, and it had the Antwerp feel about it, but it was really put together well and some very interesting pieces. And I just would like to say, talking about Christopher Bailey, he's been our chairman this time for Fashion Fringe, and he's been amazing. He's been amazing with the designers.
And who are the 3 finalists happening tonight?
Vita Gottlieb.
Is it 3?
It's 3. Tasia and Heisen. So the boy. So 2 girls and a boy.
And are they all women's wear collections or women and men's?
No, we only do women's.
Right.
All women's wear. All really great. Usually I know who's going to win, but I don't. I really don't.
And do you really not know?
I really don't know. But normally in my head I know, because I mentor them through it all. So I'm with them every twice a week, right through it. And normally I'm like, well, that's the one who's going to win. I don't know.
And are you going to that tonight, Hilary?
Yes, you bet. I've been following it. I mean, it's amazing when you look back. Past winners, like Erdem, for example, and Corrie Nielsen, whose show I adored. The colours in her show for London Fashion Week were lovely. And Basso and Brooke, other winners. It has actually made its mark as a platform.
And what do you think of Anya Heinmarch? She's showing in half an hour. Michael Hauser's doing a set for her. What do you think of accessories designers being on the runway? Because only in London do accessories designers, branch out and have one way.
It's hard, isn't it?
There's so many good accessory designers here, though. Milliners and jewellery, bags.
Yeah.
It's something we're really good at, I think.
It's a very good way to put your lookbook together.
Yeah.
And your online content for your website.
Yes.
Because it's all set up.
Yeah.
And then you get someone to do the interviews.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah.
And zap, there's your web page.
Well, zap them to save love.
And it's a big growth area, accessories.
Yeah.
It's huge, because people can just buy a bag or a new pair of shoes if they don't want to buy a whole outfit. So it is an important area, growing area.
When we were in Trieste, Hilary, I thought that I'm trying to get more refreshing images of Simone. I thought the accessories, the handbag and accessories people were very, very strong. And lovely Di Reese is now at the London College of Fashion.
He's lovely.
Teaching the accessories people there. And he's doing a great, but their portfolios are so slick, it's like going into a proper business pitch when you see those.
Yeah. I love what's happening in hats too, because I think it's only in London really that you've got milliners coming through. Yeah. And Piers Atkinson, for example, who's become a fantastic milliner. And then there's this new boy from Bristol, Lauren Wood, or Mr. Wood. And I'm doing a hat panel, in fact, at the London Fashion Weekend this coming Sunday.
Oh, brilliant.
And this Lauren Wood's going to be joined by Rachel Trevor Morgan, who does the Queen's hats, Piers Atkinson, Noel Stewart and Missa Harada. So we're going to be debating the merits of hats and passing hats around for the audience to try on.
Oh, brilliant.
But you see, I don't think that sort of concentration of hats would happen
somewhere else.
in Milan, for example.
No.
And what about footwear designers? Have you been down to see Sophie Webster? There's a lot of buzz
Not
about
yet.
her at the. Are you going down to the stands at all, or?
I've been to the stand. I haven't seen her though.
What were you impressed by?
I haven't seen her. I saw. I can't remember the name of the girl. Shoe girl, Atlanta.
Oh,
Atlanta
I haven't been down there.
Yeah, I didn't see the other one. Oh, you've been glued to a chair. Yeah.
I remember last season going around the stands, the accessories, and there was this wonderful stand that was called Ancient Roman Sandals. And of course, I love archaeology, and so great. This season, they turned up with Marius Schwab.
Oh, fantastic.
And they're actually sort of based upon, the kind of sandals you see on, those statues in the British Museum or elsewhere.
Amazing, amazing.
Fabulous. Well, I was on Sunday night, Manolo is now stocked in Harrods for the first time. And he did a little exhibition because it's his 40th anniversary, and he had all the Aussie Clark shoes out, and he had his Piaget collection for Anna, and they had done this whole cabinet of shoes going right back, and so the cherry pickers from Aussie Clark through to some that he did for Dior and Galliano, and it was this,
amazing.
But it was a one night only thing, and it clashed with Phillips, so it was a private, but you just saw all these shoes, and it was just like some of the things he'd done for Rifat Ozbek, and
Fantastic.
I mean, Rifat shows were amazing.
I did accessories with Rifat for a few of them.
I mean, those shows were
beautiful.
That's amazing.
Oh, I've never forgotten that Vogue cover of Naomi. Remember the sort of Cherokee or Sioux Indian feathers and the hat.
Yeah.
And didn't he do some in the V&A in that wonderful
Fashion in Motion
tiled? No, the actual London Fashion Week, that tiled room that's all turquoise
Oh,
mosaics.
that round room somewhere.
I think he did the white collection there.
Oh, yeah, no.
But his shows were since. I wish he'd come back and do.
But he's doing very well in interiors,
Yes,
and I think he's quite happy in his interiors. And
Well, that's why I enjoyed Philip so much, because I sat next to him, so you can
Yes, he was. I
imagine.
saw him backstage.
Do you remember that wonderful
I
jacket?
think it was
with bows?
great.
Yes, the bowing jacket, the bowing jacket.
It was like hotter than hot. Everybody
Yeah.
list people wanting that jacket.
well, that was hot. That was. I mean, but also I saw Bella Freud front row Philip's show, and she's doing she sells incredibly well on Net-a-Porter. But do you remember her shows in the Brixton Fridge and down in that hotel down at the Royal Cafe? She used to do fabulous shows.
Do you remember?
Oh God.
No.
Are we reminiscing?
It was one of the shows. It was very, very late.
Spring,
And we were all sort of
summer.
sitting there. And I started a Mexican wave. Do you remember?
Oh God.
And we got everyone going. And then until it came to a particular fashion editor whose name I won't disclose, who refused point blank. But we had a wonderful Mexican wave going.
Yeah, but before Twitter and before Timex Timeline, or I think now the London shows are very efficiently run.
Yeah.
They do run to schedule. I mean, we've now got pictures coming in
Well,
from.
they're on time, aren't they?
That started. I can't imagine that was more than 3-4 minutes late. I remember, I remember a Nicole Fari show, and they even handed out pieces of Cherry Bakewell, and I thought that this was like the best show ever, because I couldn't believe that was happening.
Free cake.
Yeah, and McQueen shows when he showed in London, they were a bit epic, weren't they?
Yeah. They were amazing. The buzz that was there was.
But late too.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Always.
And Vivian. I remember
Yeah.
once sort of sitting after about 45 minutes, and I kind of wandered backstage, and there were women on sort of those sewing machines still, finishing the dresses.
Yeah.
And that happened with John's first show in Paris. Remember when the Wolves and the girls ran down in crinolines?
Yes.
They were still being finished backstage while
That
the
was
audience
amazing,
was...
wasn't it? Gosh.
That happened quite often, but I think there's something exciting when it's all a bit of a race against time, and you are still sewing through to the night, fitting. I mean, I think couture is very different to ready to wear, but I think when you see how much work has gone into this, and you sort of, when you go and see sets where you have wolves running around, or you have, I remember one of John's first menswear shows, we had baby elephants backstage, and and it was in a circus ring in Bois de Boulogne, and I didn't really understand the relevance of the elephants, but it was just so that we had the atmosphere backstage. They never came onto the runway, but it was just so that and I think it's that detail.
And I thought of another one,
Go on.
John's, when the steam train came hurtling through with the girls all standing on front of it. It was all, that was Henry VIII.
Yeah, it was
mixed with sort of
Pocahontas.
Ready.
Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. His shows were amazing. weren't they?
Sensational.
Amazing.
Or I was thinking of the McQueen show when they were ice skating, when they came spinning in on
Yes.
the ice. Or the one, I mean, there have been very amazing shows in London. Let's have a look at the photos are in now from Simone's. I don't know where the location was, but I think we'll get over that one. But,
Simone's was at Somerset House.
Yeah.
oh, well done, Angela.
The courtyard space.
Yeah.
Look, you are not going to see the shows because I have to click. So it was Somerset House, and I'll just click through it. Just shout if you want me to click on anything bigger. I don't know how to, but we'll ad lib
Well,
that
there's
one.
something in the right that says
Oh, okay.
close-ups.
Tell me you're an editor. Bossy.
Look.
The shoes.
Oh, I love the lace.
We're going to
I
have
love
to
the
do it
lace up.
backwards, I'm afraid. But let's just go through it back. Oh, I love those
That's
ones.
gorgeous.
They're fantastic.
Ooh, personal order.
Yes, I think
So Angela, where are these produced?
In Italy.
And she designs all of them?
Yes, she designed, and she loves designing the shoes. She really loves it.
Yeah, looks like she's got
Yeah, she looks like she's got
Yeah.
a really...
enjoys it.
Yes.
And where does she source her fabrics from? All over? Or?
All over, yes, all over. France, and she loves her fabric. She's very, very into her fabrics and the feel and the look. And you can see that, can't you?
Yeah.
You can see she really cares about it.
they look as if they could be, from some of those Swiss houses that specialise
Yes,
in
yes.
the lace, the floral lace.
Yes.
See there, I've managed to make it bigger. Well, okay, we're going to have to leap backwards because it's a bit like reversing your car. I've now got it into the parking space and I know how to get it out of the parking space.
That's so sweet. Look at the little. I love the little.
And it's very modern sort of styling with the crude fringe and the soft makeup.
Yes, makeup's nice.
Oh, there's your bag.
Should be full of things.
Money.
Lemons and limes. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a nice
Wouldn't
bit of
it?
styling. A bit of lemon and lime.
That's pretty.
All right, I'm sorry it's going a bit slow. Oh no, this is the jacket that I
Now,
really
is this
like.
what they call desiccated tweed?
Yeah, I think you are right.
When we saw it, it almost looked like it had a woven kind of.
Yeah.
Well, it had a bit of a sheen,
Yes,
didn't it?
yeah.
It sort of.
I thought only coconut was desiccated.
Maybe it is coconut. You can get coconut fabric.
Oh, look at those shoes. Those are fun.
She only used to do like 2 or 3 styles. She seems to have done quite a few styles this time in shoes.
I mean, she's doing a very full collection considering how few seasons she's been at large in the world.
That is leather,
That
isn't
is
it?
leather.
Yeah, that is very soft, buttery leather. And that's a plasticized, it's got the punch coming through on perforation. So if you were doing a roundup of this collection, what would you say was the things that stood out on Simone's collection for you?
I'd say the fabric,
Yeah.
the use of the fabric, the mix of the fabrics, the softness of the colour palette, really. Then suddenly the pop of colour of the coral and the neon. And I love the shoes and that leather's that's yummy.
Beautifully finished. What were you?
I really like the way she uses her and mixes her fabrics. It's the thing that I get from it.
Yeah.
Some of them are really light, some of them, I don't know, it just...
It was like a tweed
balance
dress, wasn't
of
it? And the top of it was like sheer fabric. It's beautiful.
Hills?
I like the silhouette. I love the collars.
And even the metallic works. Even though
It's a pop, isn't it?
It's sort of modest, but incredibly naughty at the same time.
And it's interesting how it hasn't been bejazzled or dangled or embellished.
That's why I said it's not girly, is it? It's not frilly and everything on it. It's just, it speaks for itself, doesn't
girly.
it?
It is
without-
quite girly, that little
Yeah, but it's not girly girly, is it?
No.
And it's young, and it's
it's
as you say, the
definitely
collar's
young.
lovely. That's that dress we were just talking
beautiful.
about. The mix of fabric on that's gorgeous, I think.
And that's a double layer. Oh God, the arrows change place. I've lost the arrow. There it is. There's the
Oh, I
shoe.
like those.
The gold.
2 shades of metallic.
And I like the little perspex understep to it.
I'm not sure about the hair and makeup. I think it's aging the clothes a bit, some of those
Do you?
scraggy.
I really
I
like
the
this
headband.
lace.
Yeah. That's beautiful, that dress, isn't it, with that inset and the lace.
That would make a great bridal dress, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it would.
And what do you think of the future? I mean, Andrew, are you going to push Simone to do collaborations with the High Street? Or, I mean, she seems to have a very... She's fabulous. She
Yeah,
has a
they're
very
gorgeous.
strong identity and she seems to have a very good following. I mean,
Yes, I think that I don't think she will do it yet. I think she wants to really carry on building her business. She seems to be happy at what she's doing and where she's got into so far, but I think there's probably still a few more people on her wish list she wants to get into, and I think once she's done that, then maybe she'll go to the High Street. I don't know.
I mean, the fabrics are really special in the way she puts them together, and the minute you go to High Street, let's face it,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's, I don't think you get the same feel.
She's never
about
talked
it.
about High Street to me.
No, I didn't mean it in a High Street obsessed way. I just, you know, I just wondered what you...
I think she'll get definitely she'll get herself exactly where she wants to be, and then obviously she's got that now. She's getting into the right places, but then she's got to sustain that.
Yeah,
She's got to
exactly.
keep her signature going.
Yeah.
And
They're
keep
nice
people
in the white,
wanting.
though,
I love
Yeah,
them.
they're really
Yeah.
great.
They're nice in all the
They're
colours.
shoes.
And And I love the little zigzags.
Yeah, it's very
edgy.
They look like a little doily. Right?
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
It gives it a feminine touch to the
I don't know whether you can
brogue.
see, because I've chosen to stop
Yeah,
on the
it's
invisible
on there.
photo. It doilies around the top of the plastic
Right.
bag as well.
Lovely.
Are those handles made of rope or?
They look like they're a sort of quite
Knotted leather.
a knotted leather
Okay. Thongs.
or something. I mean,
Thong
Hilary, that
leather.
bag would be perfect for you. You'd never lose anything. You could see,
You could find
Where is
everything.
it?
find it, like shake
It might not
around.
be good for pickpockets though. They might be
Yeah.
able to see everything in your bag.
Yeah, so good at pickpocket. Yeah.
There we go. I think that the layering and the texture is very, very modern, it seems.
And there's no jewellery at all, is there?
No.
No. Not even a stud earring.
No, nothing. Which
And no nose rings.
no.
No, those were all confiscated at the metal detector. I like the back here
Yes.
of her opening look.
Mm.
Right, well, I think she deserves a big round of applause
Yes.
from all of us,
so
don't we?
do
Yes.
I.
Thank you very
Fantastic.
It's
much.
very fresh looking.
Yeah, it's lovely.
There we go, that was us from London. See you in Milan.